Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, the deposition of Hillary Clinton is over. We're told it lasted about 6 hours today. There were a few breaks. And this is a wild one to think about the former First Lady, the former Secretary of State, being deposed under oath in Chappaqua. It was taking place at a sort of a theater there, about a mile or so away from Bill and Hillary Clinton's home. And this is, of course, over Jeffrey Epstein, over whether they knew him, what relationship it was, how did they know him, do they know anything about any of his finances, if money went to the Clinton Foundation, the Global Initiative. There's a lot of questions there. And everybody is talking about this because tomorrow, the former president, Bill Clinton, will testify. So where is this headed, guys? Bill Clinton will be interesting because today you have to listen to what Hillary Clinton said after she was deposed. And apparently she stood fast to saying, I don't recall meeting Jeffrey Epstein.
I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
And according to many people that were in that room, it was the House Oversight Committee, Republicans and Democrats. People like James Comer were in charge of the deposition. And he came out and a number of others saying that Hillary Clinton on multiple occasions said, I don't know, you're going to have to ask my husband about that. I don't know, you're going to have to ask my husband about that. Because there are many pictures with Bill Clinton with individuals and also with Bill Clinton apparently meeting with Epstein. There are reports that he was on his plane multiple times. It may have just been transport or it may have been going somewhere with Epstein specifically. We'll find out more. And also that he was at the White House 17 times. Now, there were a lot of people who knew Jeffrey Epstein, so we'll find out. So far, the Clintons have said that there is nothing nefarious about this, and they are not accused of wrongdoing at this point either. But maybe they can connect some other dots. Let me just say it here loud and clear. I do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. I don't believe it. I believe there's too many things at stake. There are too many names at stake. There are too many moments. It just does not seem conceivable. There are too many people. Look who's even on the list. In the last few days, we're hearing Bill Gates does a mea culpa. Then you also hear Larry Summers, who's with Harvard, suddenly resigns. And then today, the head of the World Economic Forum in Davos, he suddenly resigns. That's a biggie. These are all biggies. Where is the next shoe going to drop? Well, here is Chairman James Comer, head of the House Oversight Committee, and this is what he had to say when he got out of the deposition today with Hillary Clinton.
Our deposition is concluded. It's a shame that it took 7 months to get Ms. Clinton in. She answered most of our questions. I'm going to let some of my colleagues lament on that, but we're going to not release too many details of what happened today. We're going to try to get the video out as quickly as possible, hopefully within the next 24 hours. That's a very long deposition, so as quick as we can get that video produced, we will get that out. The transcript will be released as soon as her attorneys approve it. That's the standard rules of a deposition, and I think this was a productive deposition today. I think we learned a lot. There were a lot of questions that we asked that we weren't satisfied with the answers that we got, but we will continue to move forward. Any of my colleagues.
And Congressman Pat Fallon from the great state of Texas, he's part of the Oversight Committee. He was in there, and he kept kind of asking Hillary Clinton about an interesting moment, because you see these pictures and you see specifically Ghislaine Maxwell, who of course is the right-hand gal to Jeffrey Epstein. You see her at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. So here's Pat Fallon talking with her about Chelsea Clinton's wedding and why Ghislaine Maxwell, in a small wedding, why was she there?
I mean, the Clintons really did define a whole decade of life for us in politics. So take us behind closed doors. What was Hillary's demeanor like? She actually got fluffed up pretty well, looking pretty good there. So how did it go down?
Well, I'd never actually seen Laura. I'd never seen her in person, and she was certainly agitated. She was trying to be a little charming to the Democratic staff, and that even fell flat. She's a very icy person, interestingly enough. But nonetheless, she was trying to distance herself from Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell, obviously, as she just said. She said she never met Epstein. She was just casual with Maxwell. So I asked her a question, just casual. You've met hundreds of thousands of people. Your daughter gets married in 2010. You have to distill these hundreds of thousands of people down to 250. There were 500 at the wedding. There's going to be a groom. So 250 Clinton invites. And guess who shows up as an invited guest? Ghislaine Maxwell. And she said, well, she just was a plus one. I said, so that's your testimony under oath, that it's just an odd coincidence that old Maxwell was there. Things that make you go,
Do we know who wait, what was she Epstein's plus one? Forgive me for not knowing that.
No, Epstein didn't go. He had been convicted
didn't
2 counts in 08.
That would be bad. But I didn't think Laura, that made sense.
Yeah, Laura, they knew, everybody in those circles knew that Maxwell and Epstein were attached to the hip. So how the hell does she end up there? And then they're supposed to distance themselves further. And they gave her an award in 2013 after Bill Clinton's body man and top aide tried to distance and said, hey, staff, Clinton Foundation, don't ever have Maxwell in again. And he reported right to Bill. So who overruled him? I think it's either the last name is probably a Clinton.
Isn't that interesting? Now, there's stories that it was a guy named Ted Waite, who was the guy who was invited, where Ghislaine Maxwell was the plus one businessman. He was apparently dating Ghislaine Maxwell, but he was also a big donor to the Clinton Foundation. So there's a lot of questions. And tomorrow, this is going to be one for the record books. Very rare, of course, to see a former president testify under oath, let alone a former first lady and a former secretary of state.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.